Thanks, Jess. This is going to be good fun. Final race of the weekend for the Toyota 86s, race 9 of their series. They've already had a run earlier in the day, and Cam Hill, Warren Luff, took the win. He's got 2 for the weekend. He's got 4 for the season, but he doesn't lead the points. Jimmy Vernon, that car there, car number 9, he'll start from position 3. He leads the points, but the margin's reducing all the time. But 100 points on the line again for this one. Don't be concerned here. The cars are just using the short track on the warm-up lap. We haven't changed the circuit layout for this last race.
Look, being a production case-based category where they're not on a slick tyre like sort of so many other categories, the warm-up lap isn't as critical. It doesn't take too long to get the tyres and brakes up to temperature. So that's why, just to save a little bit of time on the program, they cut them through there, get them around and get on with the racing. Kane
Baxter-Smith is limping around. He's got a problem in car 56. He's supposed to start from position 23. Let's have a look at the grid. Cameron Hill and Aaron Seaton on the front row. This is how they finished the race earlier in the day. Jimmy Vernon, Liam McAdam. That was a great fight between those two. They will start from row 2. Tim Brook, Trent Grubel next. Jake Klein and Ben Grice. Stephen Johnson, one of our 2 guest drivers this weekend alongside Dylan Golson. Just outside the top 10 is our second guest driver, the current Australian Rally Championship points leader. Harry Bates starts from position 11. Luke King went from the back of the grid to 12th in the last race. That was a good job. A couple of penalties in since the last race, Luffy. 15, James Wilkins, a 30-second time penalty for contact in the race earlier in the day. Cameron Crick also with a 30-second time penalty added for him being involved in some contact too. And Callum Jones, who had a good race in that earlier race, was excluded. He will start from down the back. Position 32 cars to line up for this 9th race of the series and final one for the weekend.
Look, it's going to be an exciting race. These guys have put on some fantastic racing in these first couple of races. But look, like you said before, the form man is definitely Cameron Hill. You've got to sort of put your money on him. But look, we know that the start is going to be so important. Aaron Seaton will obviously want to try and get the jump in this one and see if he can get in front of him and try and sort of do something to get away from him, because we've seen sort of once you let Cameron Hill get out in the lead, he just has that great ability to keep stretching away little bit by little bit, lap after lap.
Stephen Johnson, quick adjustment of the belts just to make sure they're nice and tight to get ready to roll down towards turn 1. This is a 10-lap race, so the race earlier today was a little longer. There is Harry Bates. Not used to seeing Harry alone in a car, but he's making his circuit racing debut. He's acquitted himself really well, right on the fringe of the top 10. And let's see if he can sneak in there before we get to the end of this one. It's race 9 of the series, 100 points on the line. Can they beat Cameron Hill? We're about to find out. Run to turn 1 awaits. 32 Toyota 86s at Sydney Motorsport Park. And the pole man has made another really good jump. Liam McAdam trying to weave his way through. Jimmy Vernon has got the start too. Seaton trying to cover the line, but he can't stop the points leader getting through. That's Trent Grubel in the black number 74 car, round the outside into position 4. But what has happened is what they didn't want. Cameron Hill in clear air and with a little margin.
But for Jimmy Vernon, that was a fantastic start. And in terms of championship points, he needs to try and stop Cameron Hill keep scoring points like he does. So he needs to get on the back of him. But Harry Bates, another great start by him. He's loving this circuit racing stuff. I had a chat to him after that last race. He's very quickly working out what you've got to do in the races. And he said, I just keep giving people too much room.
Ben Grice is trying to work his way forward. He's been a big charger this weekend. There he is, car 16. We're on board with 17. We're numerically aligned at Sydney Motorsport Park today as we jump on board with Stephen Johnson. Jimmy Vernon is keeping the pressure on Cameron Hill. Aaron Seaton, defensive already.
Very defensive there, but I reckon Grubel might get a run on back to the inside. Actually, saying that, Tim Brook actually gets the inside run on him.
Up the hill, turn 7, this sweeper that they can't quite make it through there. Flat. Grubel's out wide, right on the edge of the circuit, but Brook was able to get the move done, but he muscles and hustles down the inside at turn 8. Bit of contact on the way in. Liam McAdam, Ben Grice, they're all involved. They're 3 wide for a moment on the run, down to 9. Tim Brook using the grass. Stephen Johnson has the eagle-eye view of it all. The question is, which way do you go? Who do you go with? Do you try to jump on them? There's a gap there, but he doesn't take it as we finish The first of 10 laps. Top three again have got away, but this time the order is slightly different to the earlier races. Cameron Hill, though, out front. Jimmy Vernon, Aaron Seaton, Trent Grubel, Tim Brook. That's the top five. Liam McAdam, Ben Grice, Stephen Johnson, Luke King, Jake Klein. That's the top 10, nose to tail to turn one.
Look, it was a great opening lap. We've seen some door-to-door racing, a little bit of sort of maybe a bit over-aggressive driving by some of the guys out there. Big off on the exit of turn one there. But Tim Brook down the inside there.
Liam McAdam tries to get in the action.
Tries to go with him, probably not quite close enough. A little bit of contact there, but backed out of it. Did the right thing. Steve Johnson all the time is just biding his time. He's watching these guys battle. He's probably having a bit of a laugh to himself watching the antics go on. He'll just be there ready to sort of scoop up the places when these guys start making a few mistakes.
This is a battle of the Dillons. Thomas and Golson side by side through turn four. Nicholas Carroll's right there in that number 48 car, just on the fringe of the top 10. And this is going to get willing at this next corner at turn six. Replay of the start. And again, the top two, nothing much in it, although the next gear shift for Seaton, that's where it went wrong.
Yeah, it's like he got the initial jump was okay, but he's tried to rush. The thing with these cars is they're still a production-based car. You try and rush the gears too quickly, you try and rip it through, which off the start you're going to try and do. Let's see Stephen Johnson start. Great initial launch into second gear, and that's the one that Aaron Seaton missed.
You notice he's on the handbrake there because this is a start-finish line that is rolling slightly downhill. Many a driver's been pinged here over the years for jump starts and start infringements, but that was a nice start for Johnson. He just checks the mirror to see where the rest of them are before they get down to turn two.
He's got someone there on his outside. He's boxed in. He's got nowhere to go. He knows he needs to try and sort of squeeze the guy on his right. Still not quite far enough up. That was Ben Grice down the inside there. Another great start by him. He definitely gets the award for passing the most cars this weekend. He's
passed so many cars across the course of the two races. This is the replay. Yeah, we saw some dirt and dust being kicked up. It was from Grubel, but that got him wide and opened the door for Tim Brook to grab fourth position. Have a look at this. This is willing. McAdam under fire from Grice, who's trying to get the nose down. The inside, Luke King goes the long way on Stephen Johnson. Klein, Golson, Carroll. This is good. Not if you're in the middle of it, though. No, Steve Johnson just going to get hung out to dry there a little bit on the outside. He tried to sort of squeeze him as they were coming out of turn two. Klein's going to try and follow him through, down the inside. Johnson will have the run through five, though. Whoa. No, he won't. Klein fills the gap on King. Charging on forward, the young Victorian. That's wide. That's using all the track, and they're well over the line there in the background. This is really willing. 2x2 in two spots on the way in to turn six. This is classic one-make series racing. Look, and that's one of the great things about one-make series is it produces such close racing like we've got here, because you don't have horsepower to be able to sort of make up for the driver's mistakes. You've really got to get the best out of the car and the best out of yourself.
The update on Kane Baxter-Smith, guys, he's got a bit of bearing movement in the front, but the real problem he had on that outlap was the power. The dash went out on him. He power cycled it, got it up and running, but it continued to do it through corners. Thanks, Cam. Cam Vanderdungen patrolling the pit lane for us with this last Toyota 86 Racing Series event of the weekend. We're on board with Harry Bates, and there's a bit of stuff going on as they come back onto the pit straight. Out front, Cameron Hill, Vernon and Seaton, top three. They're separated by a second. Luke King is going to take Jake Klein all the way to the inside, but Klein will stick with it. Now he's narrow on the run to turn one. That's not good for turn two. No, it's not. He's managed to get out wide enough, but what he needs to be careful of now is the switchback on the run down to turn two. He's going to be compromised a little bit. He's got a pretty good run through there. Well, there's one off in the background, out through the dirt. Dylan Thomas gets one of the brake marker signs on the way in, and gets a tap and a touch from Aaron Borg, just as he thought he was all okay. It's willing. You can tell it's the last race of the weekend. Oh, now Thomas on the grass with Cameron Crick. I know that's Jacob Andrews in the second of those cars. Hard to know where to look. These guys have played pretty well for the first couple of races, but everyone's got their elbows out now, and this battle's raging on down here through 4 and 5. Crick's got the inside line here, but can he just hang the outside there? Here are the leaders: Hill, Vernon, Seaton. They've been the three pace setters of the whole weekend, Warren.
not quite in the order that we've seen them. It's been Seaton second and Vernon third. Grubel's going with them. Tim Brooks not far away either. And they've dropped off that next bunch, which is led by Liam McAdam. And trying to determine who's in that next group is hard because it's virtually half of the field.
Well, it is, but the thing here is that Cameron Hill hasn't been able to stretch out that advantage like he has in the past. Here we go again, another replay of a few cars running wide, and as a driver, it's really sort of hard there. Dylan Thomas cleaning up onto the brake marker boards. He's trying to gather it all back up. He thinks, oh, I got away with that. Boof, cops a hit in the back. Thanks for coming.
And that opens up the door to Zach Lascalpo to get through, and Lachlan Deagle to also have a look in car 53, back onto the straight. So we're looking here at the fight. The car in front of shot is 8th. The car that's just come onto the pit straight in the background is outside the top 20. That's how many cars and how close they are. Aboard with Stephen Johnson. Little lift, feather the throttle. It's about 180 k's an hour in one of these cars through that first corner.
He's trying to sort of go to the inside. These guys are sort of having a few little touches, pushing each other that little bit wide there. You can see how delicate Steve was on the steering wheel there through turn 1. Because the last thing you want to do is you don't want these cars sliding around and scrubbing off speed. They don't have a lot of horsepower, so it's all about maintaining your corner speed. You watch down through here. Nice and gentle on the wheel work, a little bit of understeer on the way in. Nice and smooth. It's all about minimising the scrub angle of those front tyres. Carry the corner speed through. Get back to the throttle of earlier than the car in front. You can see those cars starting to extend those track limits. The officials will take a dim view on that one. Hang third gear, a little bit of oversteer, bounce it off the curb there. He's just trying to sort of keep onto the back of these guys. Don't let them get away.
Talk about not getting away. Cameron Hill is not getting away this time around from Jimmy Vernon. They're about to bring up half race distance at Sydney Motorsport Park. And remember that Jimmy Vernon's the man who started the year in great form down at Phillip Island with a couple of wins down there, and has been able to keep on cranking out the podium finishes to hold a very handy series break. Remember, this is the second year of the Toyota 86 series, and he's doing what he needs to do, racking up the points, even though Cam Hill's getting the chunks of 100 for winning all the races.
Yeah, and look, this is where, as a driver, you've now got to start to think about, look, he definitely wants to get the race win. He wants to sort of cement that championship position that he's got, but also he doesn't want to make any kind of a mistake that could lead to sort of losing a few spots or getting any kind of a penalty. So he's kind of got that battle. He needs to sort of stay right on the back of Hill, and if there's a mistake, certainly capitalise on it, but it's one of those things he doesn't have to take the position. Speaking of positions,
talk about taking a position. Jake Klein is attempting this on Liam McAdam, the 20-year-old from Melbourne, who's trying to get on through. I reckon he's got this done. He'll cover him off before the next corner. So that is for position 7. Finished 7th in the championship last year. That's a new car for him this weekend. So Liam McAdam went from on the verge of the podium in the last race, has slipped back in this one to 8th.
But that was a great bit of driving through there, to get through there too. Like maybe a few other guys should be watching and see that you can get through turn 2 nice and clean.
It is possible. There's Ben Grice. He's up to position 6. Aaron Cameron just poking it out from running wide at turn 5. Here's Harry Bates. He's done a really nice job. He sits 14th at the moment. And have a look at the queue of cars just rode up. It's been a real success story, the Toyota 86 Racing Series. This is the 3rd event this year. 3 races across the course of each of the events. A trip to Bathurst in October and the new street course in Newcastle in November to finish off season 2. Dylan Thomas here with Aaron Borg. And they're going to continue their fight on the exit of turn 8. So this is lap 6 of 10. Couple left to go. This is interesting. Thomas is going to hang around the outside. Borg's got the inside. He's sideways trying to race him in to this last corner. And Jacob Andrews trying to get the run on both of them.
If anything, I think he was probably a little bit too kind. You could see once you had the inside run through that second last turn, he really should have tried to drive it in there harder into that first corner, into that last corner. And now he's actually going to lose a few more spots out of this.
Down the inside. Luke Hanna's through. Oh, Jacob Andrews slightly sideways. They're in there somewhere. There they are. But that little scrap opens it all. Look at the rest of these guys attacking. James Wilkins is down the inside, Cameron Crick. They're the two drivers who were penalised with 30-second post-race time penalties from the last race earlier in the day. That's why they're further back in the pack than where they were. So they've got to work their way back up through the order. Always nice when teammates hang out together. Someone to draft with down the front straight.
As long as you don't crash into your teammate. We saw that in Formula 4 racing where teammates were taking each other out. It's the golden rule of motorsport. You don't crash into your teammate.
Have you ever done that before?
Had a few bumps and rubs. I don't think I've ever actually taken a teammate out. But there's still time to go.
I was going to say, you've still got years to go. Hey, the leader here's got away. Cameron Hill's just broken the back of that Jimmy Vernon challenge, and now Vernon's got more of an issue with Aaron Seaton. Grubel's more competitive in this one. Tim Brooks going with them as well. But they're just absolutely driving the wheels off these cars. And yes, there's not really been any position changes, but they're all driving them so well. They're driving them so hard, and they're all running the same car. We should point out, if you've not watched the Toyota series before, it's not a central car preparation series. Everyone can run their own car how they see fit. They can engage a professional motor racing team. They can do it in their own garage as a family team. There's a whole different bunch of ways of doing this, but the end result is everyone's running a Toyota 86 that is really tightly policed and governed by race control, by the officials, by the stewards, and by the technical officers as well, to make the racing is as good as it's been here.
And look, the great thing is that you buy all the parts as a package, so the suspension and the roll cage and everything like that. It's all about sort of setting the cars up so they are equal. It still comes down to the individual teams as to how you set your car up and everything like that. And there's still a lot of freedom, so that there is still that sort of opportunity to sort of play with the car. But like you said, everything is policed so tightly. And we've seen a couple of guys already this weekend come foul of those sort of technical regulations. And the most important thing is that they do police them and they do act upon it.
On board again with Stephen Johnson. He's just been shuffled back by Nicholas Carroll, young gun from Victoria. A couple of laps left to go. It's been great to have Steve back with us this weekend. He's been with the Toyota Series last year as one of our guest drivers and also mentoring the drivers. Jason Barguana this weekend, not at the wheel, but is mentoring off track. We'll announce in the upcoming weeks in the lead up to Bathurst which guest drivers will be behind the wheel up there. Love listening to these little cars. There's been plenty of dirt and dust kicked up in this race so far. Jimmy Vernon, he's hanging on to second place. Seaton is keeping the pressure on, and that's really what it's boiling down to in this series, is making those little small mistakes that open the door at the wrong time for you.
Yeah, look, you'd have to say at this point of the race that the race win is probably not really there for sort of Jimmy Vernon anymore. It's now about trying to maintain second position. He's got Aaron Seaton sort of all in his mirrors. The lights are on. You can see Seaton's car, the attitude coming onto the straight. His tyres might be a little bit better or whatever it might be, but certainly Jimmy Vernon's going to have Aaron Seaton all over the back of him again for these last couple of laps. But again, he's got the championship to think about. He desperately wants to be able to get the race win, but Cam Hill has just been a measure of consistency right throughout these three races. He just has that knack and ability to chip away and just build out that lead. 0.8 of a second is where we see it at now. So now for Jimmy Vernon, it's a case of trying to sort of hang on to second position and minimise that deficit that Cam Hill will potentially pull out.
Remember, it's 100 points for the win in each of the races, but we've already had this year. I remember in Townsville we had a no race. We had a multi-car collision there that stopped the race. We couldn't get restarted in time. So he was declared a no race, no championship points awarded. So that was a chance that went begging for the rest of them trying to catch Jimmy Vernon, but it was a good thing for him in that he couldn't lose any points out of the lead. So great fight here. Aaron Seaton keeping the pressure on. Second generation racer, third generation really, of course. His grandfather, Barry Bowe, as he's commonly known as in the industry, the winner at Bathurst in 1965. Glenn, of course, Supercars Hall of Famer, two-time Australian touring car champ and a legend of the game who's with him every round. If you get Aaron, you get Glenn, and you get number 30, and you get an open-faced helmet. Keeping the tradition alive.
And look, that's one of the great elements of this category is, as you said before, you can come along, you can bring your mates along to help sort of prep your car. Or in Aaron's case, he's got a two-time touring car champion in his corner, helping with the car setup.
Replay here, turn one. James Wilkins down the inside. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh dear, oh dear.
nicely just straightened him up on the exit there.
Well, they've had a couple of run-ins so far today, those two. They got away with it, though, which normally doesn't happen here. Last lap for this guy. Cam Hill's on his way to a clean sweep for the weekend. He did that at Winton at the opening event last year, and he won 2 of the 3 races here last year. It's on for second. Vernon's playing it a little defensive. Seaton's not done with yet.
No, definitely not. But what Aaron needs to do now is he needs to think about, Vernon gets all out of shape on the exit there. Might open a run, probably not quite close enough for Seaton to have a move down the inside at turn 4. But what he needs to do now, he needs to plan this last lap. He needs to think about, where am I going to be able to have a look? The obvious place is going to be down at the hairpin after Corporate Hill. There's a chance to get down the inside up here at turn 6, but it's unlikely. You've got to carry a lot more speed through here and be able to get a run down the inside. He's going to have a fake, move across, not quite close enough. There's really only going to be one more overtaking opportunity, and that's following this fast left-hand corner. He needs to be right on the back of him, but he needs Vernon to be able to make some kind of a mistake and open up the door down here, but he's just not going to be able to do it. He's not close enough.
A couple of corners left to go. Cameron Hill is the former Formula Ford National Series champion. He was a contender last year in the title chase. And he's going to head to Bathurst with a great amount of momentum when we get there to the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 in October. That's the next time we see the Toyotas. Couple of corners to go. The same 3 drivers have been on the podium in all 3 races this weekend, but for this last one, we've just tweaked the order slightly between second and third. But Cam Hill, car 111 to bank 100 points. Vernon a little wide on the run to the line, but that won't be enough to let Aaron Seaton snatch second place. So Cam Hill, 3 in a row, clean sweep at Sydney Motorsport Park. The man to beat all weekend. Vernon and Seaton will stand on the podium. This is not done with yet. Luke King, Dylan Gulson, Nicholas Carroll, 3 wide to the line. Get the photo finish ready. Gulson gets 9 by the huge margin of 0.002 seconds. That's not that big, actually.
I've actually lost a race here by that amount, so...
You got to keep going all the way to the checkered flag. This guy did. Fastest lap of the race back on lap 2 was a 1:49.69. His margin of victory 1 second back to Jimmy Vernon. So the Toyotas are done for the weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park. Let's have a look at how they finished race 9. Vernon and Seaton on the podium again. Solid drives from Trent Grubel and Tim Brook, 4th and 5th. Ben Grice, who charged hard all weekend, put together a nice run there for 6th. Klein McAdam. Gulson got 9th by the smallest of margins over Nicholas Carroll. Then Luke King outside, who just missed that spot. Cameron and Johnson. Bates, great to have the guest drivers here this weekend. James Wilkins was in a bit of action there, the Englishman in position 20. Aaron Borg just outside. Callum Jones in the back of the grid got up to position 22. Brendan Ferrugia, they managed to get that car back together after he crashed earlier in the day, but they weren't able to get Declan Fraser back on the road in race 9.